Good evening to you all. Today we're going to talk about episode 13 from Surah Al-Aaraf. And to Madian we sent their brother Shu'aib. He said, "O my people, worship Allah. You have no deity other than Him. Clear evidence has come to you from your Lord. So give full measure and weight, and do not deprive people of their things, and do not cause corruption on the earth after it has been set right. That is better for you if you are believers." This verse is connected to his saying, "We have certainly sent Noah to his people," which is in Al-Aaraf 59. The meaning is, just as we sent Noah to his people, likewise we sent Shu'aib to the people of Madian, and he commanded them with three things. First, worship of Allah, the one and only. Second, belief in the message of Shu'aib himself. Third, fulfilling the measure and the balance. So, who are the people of Madian? Some people said Madian is the name of a place, and others said no, it's the name of a tribe. The source here is asking, saying, "There has come to you a sign or a clear proof from your Lord," which is the part in red in front of you. Notice he says that there were no clear signs that came to the people of Madian. So how does the Quran say, "A clear proof has come to you from your Lord," even though no clear signs came to them? He himself responds and answers, and I'll tell you his name in a moment. He says that, in fact, there were signs or proofs that came to them, but they weren't mentioned in the book or in the Quran. He adds and says that not all the signs were mentioned in the Quran, and not all the clear proofs were mentioned in the Quran. Who is the source? It's Ma'alim al-Tanzil by al-Baghawi. Honestly, I have a question here. Why is the proof not mentioned, even though it's referred to in the Quran as something that happened? Q80 Jayakum. That means it already happened. This is a decisive statement from God. It means it already came, and that's it. What is the wisdom in saying that a proof has come when, in fact, it never came in the first place, as even the scholar himself admits? And the second question is, he says that not all the verses appeared in the Quran, or not all the clarifications came in the Quran. What is the evidence for that? It should be noted here that the statement in this verse is from Shu'aib, and the narration in the Quran, when it says, he said, everything that follows is not from God, but from Shu'aib. God is quoting Shu'aib's words. And do not sit on every path, threatening and turning away from the path of God those who believe in him, seeking to make it crooked. And remember when you were few and he increased you. And look at how was the end of the corruptors. This verse is connected to the one before it, where he tells them, worship God, believe in my message, fulfill the measure and the balance, and do not sit on the roads that lead to me so you don't scare people away and turn them from God's religion. For those who want to come to me, make the way easier for them. You see, that's the point. And then he reminds them as well, saying, don't forget that God increased your numbers after you were few. And in the end, he warns them about the fate of the people of Noah, Ad, the mud, and Lot. All of this is to tell them, be careful, all those people were punished by God. Why? Because they denied his messengers, so don't deny me. So what does the story mean? All right, who's the source here? It's Majma al-Bayan fi Tafsir al-Quran by al-Tabrisi. Actually, I have a question here. Is it supposed to be when you were few or when you were a small number? The point to note here is that the statement is still ongoing. This verse is connected to the one before it, and the statement is still from Shu'aib. And the narration of the statement is by the Quran or by God. And if a group among you has believed in what I was sent with, and a group has not believed, Then be patient until God judges between us, for he is the best of judges. The meaning here is, if a group among you has believed me and my message, and another group has not believed my message. So be patient until God judges justly between the two groups, so that you may witness the outcome for each group. The group that believed and the group that denied. Here, the source is Bar al-Ulum by al-Samarkandi. Actually, I have a question here. So now it says, and if a group, I even brought it to you as Abu al-Basit did. Is it supposed to be in Kana Taifa, masculine, or Kanat Taifa, feminine, like we wrote in black down here? So which one is correct? And then it says, if a group among you believed, or believed in what I was sent with. Honestly, this needs some consideration or review or re-examination. And then it says, and a group did not believe, or is it a group did not believe, since it's supposed to be a singular feminine noun? So that's the story. So I wanted to know, is it can or cannot? Is it Aminu or Aminat? Is it Yuminu or Tumin? And then honestly, the Quran itself, what's right is that the word Taifa group is feminine, and it's been used that way many times before. I brought you a very simple example of that. Here, take a look. What does it say? What is the wisdom behind making the word sect masculine in the previous verse? This was a sect, take note, and making it feminine in all the verses to come. I didn't want to be a sect, nor did I want to be a sect. The sect of Al-Imran 69. The sect of Al-Imran said 72. And let the women's group come 102. They have a group of women 113. And when a group said in Al-Azab 13, then a group believed in Asaf 14. Now, I think there's still something else. Here it is, and a group disbelieved in Asaf 14 as well. So when it's always group in the feminine form in more than one verse, more than one surah, and more than one context, then why is it made masculine here? That was really the question. The final point is that the remark here is also that the statement is from Shu'aib and the narration is by the Quran or by God. The arrogant leaders among his people said, we will surely expel you, O Shu'aib, and those who have believed with you from our town, or you must return to our religion. He said, even if we are unwilling? So this time, who is the statement directed to? To the leaders, that is, the chiefs, the nobles, and the dignitaries, said to him, either you and those who believed with you leave our town, O Shu'aib, or you stay and join our religion. So Shu'aib said to them, are you forcing us into this? If we believe, we have to leave, and if we want to stay, we have to join your religion. Do you see what you're doing? So the leaders replied to him, yes, we are forcing you and those who believed with you to do that. Who is saying these words? In Bar al-Ulum by al-Samarkandi, it's noted here as well that the statement is still being made by the leaders, the ones who opposed belief in Shu'aib, and this is a narration of the statement, a recounting of the statement, a retelling of the statement, a documentation of the statement for God. We would be lying against God if we were to return to your faith after God has saved us from it. And it is not for us to return to it unless God, our Lord, wills. Our Lord encompasses everything in knowledge. We put our trust in God. Our Lord, judge between us and our people in truth, for you are the best of those who judge. Shu'aib replied to them, and they had said to him, You want to wait until you enter our religion. You and the group around you who believe in you want this. You want to stay on your religion, then leave our town. So he replied to them here, saying, "No, and pay attention. If we were to return to your faith, we would be lying against God after he saved us from polytheism. And it is impossible for us to return to your faith unless God wills for us to return. That would be God's will, not ours. You see, we pay attention. Some people say, no, it doesn't mean unless God wills for us to return. They say it means unless God wills for you to return to the truth. Some people say this and some people say that. So pay attention. Who is it? The source here is Ruh al-Ma'ani by Al-Alusi. Honestly, I have some questions here. Now, what is he saying? We have returned in your faith. Is the return in or to? Should it be, we have returned to your faith? And then again here, is it we return in it or we return to it? There's another question. What is the wisdom behind repeating the word Allah 4 times and the word our Lord 3 times? I mean, the Quran always uses pronouns to reach. Let's read it out loud together. Here, we have indeed lied against Allah. Okay, if we return in your faith after he has saved us, and let's remove this part completely. The problem is, after he has saved us, it's Allah. And it is not for us to return in it except if he wills. Here, if he wills, that's it. And let's remove these 2. He has encompassed everything in knowledge. Here, he has encompassed. He wills, that's good. Everything in knowledge. On him we rely. So judge between us. Here, between us and our people in truth. And you are the best of those who judge. It was repeated 7 times in a verse. Honestly, this matter really caught my attention. Of course, I'm not trying to change the Quran or anything. The whole point is that I'm just thinking out loud with you all. So what's the wisdom then behind repeating the word Allah 4 times and the word our Lord 3 times in a single verse? The point here is that the statement is from Shuaib's people, and he's responding to the leaders, telling them, if we were to return to your faith after God has saved us, we would be wrongdoers. So the statement is his and the transmission is in the Quran. And the leaders among his people who disbelieved said, if you follow Shuaib, then you will surely be losers. The meaning here is that the nobles among Shuaib's people, who are the people of Madian, these are the ones who denied God's signs, were arrogant about believing in them, and called them lies. The prophet Shuaib, these people said to those who believed in his message, if you follow Shuaib and believe him and accept him as a prophet, then you are making a mistake by abandoning your religion and the religion of your forefathers, and you will be destroyed by your actions. This is basically a threat. And do you get who they are? The source here is Jami al-Bayan Fi Tafsir al-Quran by Al-Tabari. The statement here is very clear, and it says, and the leaders said, so the statement is from the leaders of the people of Midian, and the narration is from God. So the earthquake seized them, and they were left lifeless in their homes. The meaning here is that when they threatened Shuaib and the people who believed in him, they told them, either you stay with us and believe in what we believe in, or you take yourselves and leave our town. So here, what does it mean that the earthquake seized them? It means they were struck by an earthquake or a loud cry or an extremely intense heat, and they all died in their city. That's it. They died, really died. So who is the source here? It's from Al-Firuzabadi's interpretation of the Quran. Honestly, I don't really know who's narrating here. Is it God? Is it Shuaib? Who's the one speaking? So the earthquake seized them, and they were left lifeless in their homes, meaning the leaders among them. I really don't know. Those who denied Shuaib, it was as if they had never lived there. Those who denied Shuaib were the losers. Those who rejected the message of the prophet Shuaib from among the people of Madian. These people, God destroyed them completely, as if they never existed. There was no trace of them left in their village, as if they were never here in the first place, as if they never even came to this place at all. They basically vanished. All right, so what's the source here? It's Lubab al-Tawil fi Mani al-Tanzil, al-Kazim. The question's here. Still, the question remains. Is it God who's speaking, or is it Shuaib? I mean, who's the speaker? Who is the narrator here in this verse? Whose words are these according to this interpretation? The second question is, those who denied Shuaib, what's the wisdom behind repeating this phrase twice? I mean, if we just removed the second one entirely, like, those who denied Shuaib as if they had never lived there. See? It's really simple. And then, and they were the losers. What would go wrong with the text? So he turned away from them and said, O my people, I have certainly conveyed to you the messages of my Lord and advised you. So how could I grieve for a disbelieving people? First, regarding the recitation, there were 3 people who read it as Esainat Asa. Here, I wrote it down for you so you can pay attention to it. They used to read it as Esainat Asa, just like here. Of course, both words come from the same root, meaning sorrow and sadness. So, who was it that used to recite it this way? Talha ibn Musarrif, Yahya ibn Wathab, and Al-Amash used to recite it this way. It was said that this was the dialect of the tribe of Tamim. Now, the meaning here is that Shuaib distanced himself from the people of Madian and left their town because they refused to believe. And he told them, I have delivered to you the messages of my Lord, but you did not believe in them, and I advised you, but you did not take my advice, so I grieve for you. In which verse? I grieve. How can I grieve for the disbelievers? What's the source? And the tafsir al-Hidayah ila Bulyu al-Nahaya by Maki ibn Abi Talib. I have a question. He says to them, O my people, but how? He addresses them as, O my people, even though they were all destroyed, every last one of them. He addresses them as, O my people, in verse 93, even though they actually died in verse 92. The blast struck them, you know? So I don't understand how he's speaking to the dead. They were finished in 92. That's it, they're gone. And he's not going to hold their funeral again. Even the scholar says, they no longer have any trace, as if they were never here in the first place. All right, so how are you coming back and saying to them, "Oh, my people"? That was the question. The point to note here is that the statement is attributed to Shuaib. So who is the statement for? Shuaib? Okay, and who is the narration for? For God. And the documentation, right? And the storytelling and narration are from God. And we did not send a prophet to any town without afflicting its people with hardship and adversity, so that they might humble themselves. All right, so the meaning here is that it is God who is speaking, saying, we did not send. Pay attention to what's highlighted in red. We did not send, we meaning God, in any town a prophet except that we seized. Do you see? So who is speaking here? God is saying, we did not send a prophet to any town, or to a people, meaning, and they denied him. except that we sent down upon them various kinds of hardships and calamities, so that they might return to their senses. Before what? Before they are destroyed. Very good. So when we send a prophet to any people, we show them hardship so that they might come back to their senses and believe, which is the theory I'm talking about. Meaning, either you believe or you get destroyed. Is that really how God always acts? Exactly, you get it. Except that we afflicted its people with hardship and adversity so that they might humble themselves, so that they might return to their senses. That's the point. Who's the source here? It's from Al-Wasit interpretation of the Quran by Sheikh Muhammad Syed Tantawi. All right, so here, sir, he's telling me that the word, so that they might, honestly, this word really caught my attention in the Quran. This, so that they might, and all these kinds of expressions. So, did they actually return or not? Because so that they might means maybe, possibly, there's a chance, you know? That's the point, so that they might humble themselves. We don't know if they will humble themselves or maybe not. You get it? So our question here is, did they return to their senses and humble themselves before God, or did nothing happen? That was my question. The point being highlighted here, or the indication, is that God says, we did not send we, God, except that we seized them. Then we replaced the bad with the good until they grew in number and said, hardship and ease also befell our forefathers. So we seized them suddenly while they were unaware. The meaning here is that God is saying, after we sent them hardships and calamities, as mentioned in the previous verse, verse 94, we changed that and replaced it. We blessed them, honored them, increased their children, increased their wealth, and provided for them. All of this was so that they would submit to God and believe in Him. But that didn't happen. Unfortunately, they said no. They said, these calamities that come to us are not from God. They're from nature. Sometimes nature is harsh, and sometimes it's gentle. That's all there is to it. And this is something that happened to our ancestors before us, too. That's all there is to it. So when they denied God's will in what happened to them, whether hardship, adversity, or even blessings, so God took them suddenly, without them noticing or feeling a thing. Who's the source? Keys to the Unseen by Al-Razi. I actually have a question. Didn't God know that they would deny His will in what befell them, whether hardship or ease? So He tested them with adversity first, and when they refused, He tested them with prosperity, and when they still refused, He took them by surprise. The point to note here is that the statement here is, we replaced. Pay attention, we replaced. That's God speaking to make it clear. And then, so we seized them. Again, that's God. Here, the words are spoken by God Himself. Honestly, the conclusion we'll reach here is the same as we did with all the previous prophets, the last 3 or 4 we discussed. So here we see, sir, that Shu'aib spoke to his people, and the leaders among his people responded to him, and there was a big dialogue between them in all these verses we've just seen. This conversation happened at a specific time and place by the will of Shu'aib and the will of the leaders, by their own human will, completely separate and independent from the will of God. Very good. God conveyed the words of Shu'aib and the words of the leaders exactly as they were, meaning He conveyed them in the same time and place. 3 things. What's the result of that? The result is that God became part of the human action, because He also says things like, we changed, we took, suddenly, and so on. You see, that's the point here. So it's very serious. How did you make God part of human action? So here, the Quran embodied God because it connected Him to the act of conveying speech. It's like they're saying, and he's just reporting it like a journalist. They're saying it and he's reporting it. That's the action. The event is happening with both parties at the same time and place. I mean, all this action was happening on earth and God was reporting it. That's why I even once said in Surat al-Baqarah, if you remember, that the Quran ascended from earth to heaven, not descended from heaven to earth. That's the point. So God is by nature absolute. God is essentially outside of time and space. The perspective that Jalal al-Din al-Suyuti put forward long ago, and I've repeated it many times, is that the Quran is a revelation from God, but phrased by the Prophet Muhammad in the language of his people. Because this way you avoid a huge dilemma, which is the dilemma of anthropomorphism. That God was present at the event moment by moment. I mean, do you know what God is? God creates. God reveals. God sends forth. God judges. But God doesn't intervene in human actions second by second. So if these people make mistakes, disbelieve, or persist in disbelief, and he seizes them suddenly, then what's the point of the afterlife? Okay, if he seizes them suddenly in this world, then there isn't really an afterlife. There's supposed to be judgment. Yes, I really wish the entire Islamic world would seriously consider Jalal al-Din al-Suyuti's view that the Quran is a revelation from God. The core idea is from God, and the detailed phrasing is by the Prophet Muhammad. Thank you very much. With apologies.